Beneath the bustling streets of modern Moscow lies a shadow of forgotten history. Deep within the cold earth rests an abandoned tunnel designed for a phantom global war. Official records deny its very existence entirely. Soviet architects drafted the original blueprints under absolute secrecy during an era filled with intense paranoia and whispered international political threats. Millions walk above this massive subterranean fortress every single day. They remain completely unaware of the decaying concrete corridors stretching silently through the dark abyss far below them. Historians rarely speak of this classified endeavor today. The project emerged from the ashes of earlier conflicts, born from a deep fear of a sudden and devastating invasion. Funding vanished into a complex maze of black budgets. Government officials diverted massive resources to build this underground shelter, erasing paper trails to hide their monumental clandestine efforts. Laborers worked under the cover of total darkness. Special trains transported heavy materials through unmarked subway routes, long after the city above had fallen into a deep slumber. Foremen enforced brutal silence among the massive workforce. Any worker who asked dangerous questions faced immediate removal, ensuring the massive project remained entirely hidden from the public eye. The tunnel was never intended for simple transportation. It was a massive command center, reinforced to withstand apocalyptic destruction from advanced weapons that were still in early development. Archival maps from the early 20th century show strange anomalies. Odd blank spaces appear in civic planning documents, carefully placed to obscure the massive engineering marvel taking shape. Planners designed thick steel doors to seal the bunkers. These massive barriers could theoretically protect the elite leadership from a devastating chemical attack or a sustained aerial bombardment. Intricate ventilation systems filtered the stale underground air constantly. Engineers developed advanced oxygen scrubbers to sustain life for months without any access to the contaminated surface world above. Deep underground lakes provided a hidden source of water. Special purification machines hummed quietly in the shadows, waiting for a catastrophic event that military leaders believed was imminent. The exact dates of construction remain highly disputed today. Some experts trace the earliest excavations back to the turbulent period right before the first major global conflict exploded. Whispers suggest a shadow war was already being fought. Intelligence agencies battled silently in the dark, preparing for an inevitable clash that would eventually require this subterranean stronghold. Rival nations deployed spies to uncover the massive project. Counterintelligence officers ruthlessly hunted down these foreign agents, eliminating anyone who dared to investigate the secret tunnels beneath Moscow. A vast network of cables lined the concrete walls. These wires connected the underground bunker to distant military outposts, creating a highly resilient communication grid for the leadership. Massive generators stood ready to power the hidden city. Diesel engines rested in silent anticipation, engineered to run continuously even if the national power grid suffered complete failure. Secret entrances were hidden within mundane urban structures completely. Ordinary apartment buildings and quiet government offices concealed heavy elevators, designed to descend rapidly into the dark protective depths. The sheer scale of the excavation rivals modern achievements. Removing thousands of tons of earth without detection required brilliant logistical planning and absolute control over the civilian population. Geologists studied the bedrock carefully to ensure structural integrity. They selected dense stone layers to absorb shockwaves, protecting the vital command center from any massive explosive kinetic force. Armories within the complex held countless crates of weapons. Soldiers expected to mount a fierce resistance from the depths, reclaiming the shattered surface once the invisible war ended. Medical facilities rivaled the best hospitals of the era. Surgical theaters and vast wards sat completely empty, waiting for a massive influx of casualties that miraculously never arrived. Extensive food reserves filled towering storage units for miles. Preserved rations were rotated regularly by sworn military personnel, ensuring the shadow government could survive a prolonged bitter siege. The atmosphere inside the tunnels felt suffocating and oppressive. Even during the initial construction, workers reported feeling a strange sense of impending doom lingering in the cold air. Commanders drafted intricate protocols for sealing the outer doors. The decision to lock the vault would condemn millions above to death, while saving a select few chosen officials. Then, without any official warning, the massive construction halted. Workers were abruptly sent home, and the heavy iron doors were slammed shut and welded securely in place forever. The phantom war they prepared for never actually materialized. Political tides shifted rapidly, and the grand apocalyptic conflict was replaced by decades of silent tension and economic struggles. New military strategies rendered the vast static bunker obsolete. Mobile missile platforms and stealth technology became the primary focus, leaving the underground fortress behind as a forgotten relic. The government quietly erased all knowledge of the complex. Bureaucrats destroyed remaining blueprints and classified the location data, burying the truth as deeply as the physical tunnel itself. Decades passed, while the colossal subterranean structure sat undisturbed. Groundwater slowly seeped through the aging concrete walls, forming dark pools in the vast, empty corridors of power. Rust claimed the massive steel doors and complex machinery. The silence of the abyss consumed the echoes of human ambition, leaving only a haunting monument to human paranoia. Urban explorers occasionally whisper about finding hidden access shafts. They tell wild stories of descending into a dark labyrinth that stretches far beyond the known metropolitan subway system. Most of these daring adventurers return with empty hands. The few who manage to penetrate the outer defenses describe a terrifying atmosphere of total isolation and profound darkness. Strange artifacts sometimes surface in obscure local antique markets. Gas masks with unusual serial numbers and heavy brass fittings hint at the massive scale of the forgotten project. Independent researchers spend years piecing together fragmented historical clues. They analyze old transit schedules and anomalous power grid fluctuations to map the exact boundaries of the secret complex. The structural integrity of the tunnels continues to degrade. Sinkholes occasionally open in the streets above, briefly exposing the vast emptiness hidden just below the busy city surface. Authorities quickly fill these dangerous voids with fresh concrete. They dismiss public concerns with mundane explanations, ensuring the grand secret remains safely hidden from any curious civilian eyes. Some theorists argue the tunnels are not completely abandoned. They point to mysterious thermal signatures detected during harsh winter months, suggesting that hidden sections might still remain active. Perhaps a small contingent of guards still patrols today. These loyal sentinels might wander the dark corridors, following obsolete orders from a fallen empire that no longer exists. The truth likely involves a far more mundane reality. The sheer cost of maintaining such a colossal underground structure simply became impossible for a struggling modern national economy. Yet the psychological weight of the place remains heavy. It stands as a chilling physical reminder of a time when global annihilation felt like a very real possibility. The tunnels represent the darkest fears of an era. They are a monument to the terrifying lengths a paranoid government will go to ensure its own absolute survival. Entering the complex today requires specialized equipment and courage. Toxic gases accumulate in the lower levels, turning the air itself into a deadly hazard for any unprotected intruder. Collapses have blocked many of the primary transport arteries. Navigating the maze involves squeezing through narrow gaps in broken ceilings, with thousands of tons of rock resting above. The darkness down there is absolute and completely consuming. Flashlights only pierce a few feet through the thick dust, revealing decaying Soviet emblems painted on the crumbling walls. Every echoing footstep sounds like a loud gunshot here. The profound silence amplifies every single noise, creating an overwhelming sense of being constantly watched by unseen historical ghosts. Old propaganda posters peel slowly from the damp concrete. Their faded colors and bold slogans offer a stark contrast to the grim, decaying reality of the abandoned bunker. In one central chamber, a massive wooden desk rots. This was likely the intended seat of power for a military commander tasked with directing the doomed Phantom War. Heavy black telephones sit silently covered in very thick dust. Their wires lead nowhere now, severed by time and the slow, inevitable collapse of the massive communication network. The scale of the wasted human effort is absolutely staggering. Thousands of brilliant minds and strong hands labored endlessly to create a masterpiece of engineering that served nothing. Modern society often forgets the intense anxiety of history. We walk above these silent tombs, completely distracted by bright screens and the trivial problems of our daily lives. But the tunnels wait patiently in the deep dark. They serve as a grim warning about the destructive nature of unchecked political paranoia and runaway global military escalation. Future archaeologists might eventually excavate this massive concrete labyrinth. They will marvel at our primitive fears and the immense resources we buried beneath the earth in sheer panic. Until that distant day, the massive complex remains completely hidden. It is a secret world locked securely away from sunlight, slowly returning to the earth that surrounds it. The Phantom War may never have happened on paper. However, the psychological battle left a permanent physical scar deep within the very foundation of the modern Russian capital. The silent corridors continue to guard their darkest secrets. Every rusted door and crumbling wall holds a unique story of fear, duty, and ultimate futility below the ground. As the city above grows brighter and vastly taller, the forgotten city below descends further into complete historical oblivion. The memories fade like old photographs fading away forever. We can only wonder what other hidden structures exist. How many other phantom wars have left vast silent monuments buried deep beneath the bustling centers of human civilization? The abandoned military tunnel beneath Moscow stands as testament. It is a haunting reflection of human ambition, twisted by fear, trapped forever in a cold, eternal concrete embrace. The shadows of the past will never truly fade. They simply wait beneath our feet, resting silently in the cold dark, remembering a war that never officially happened.